Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone and everything in between, welcome to the Stay Positive podcast. I'm Alex.
What's up?
Who are you? Random stranger.
We're back.
We're back. What's up, Pete?
So, this is something that I've been practicing a lot lately just because I never used to be the type of person to be doing it, but after meeting certain people that they've given me experiences that are really valuable.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate it very much. So
one of them was not you, unfortunately. People like Grace, people like my roommates from this past year, and other close friends of mine. They taught me how to start loving myself, practicing self-love and self-care.
sounds pretty weird, Pete.
Yeah.
You need to think about loving yourself. Don't people inherently love themselves anyway? Unless you're kind of weird.
I mean, yes and no. I feel like people, quote unquote, love the image of themselves as how it presents itself to other people. But actually truly loving yourself I don't think everybody's really good at that. I, for one, used to be horrible at it. I mean, even today, or like 10 minutes ago before we were on air, I literally was talking about something with regards to editing, right? And I was like thinking how I forgot how to do something.
Yeah,
How to cut
your good
or
teacher,
whatever.
your good audio teacher, he like spent so many countless seconds teaching you the ways of
Yeah.
audio editing, and you forgot the most integral of rules.
I was still able to do it well. The point is, when I forgot, in the past, I would have been the person to be like, what the hell? You idiot. Stupid. Whatever. Just being mean to myself. And in general, I mean, of course, a lot of tennis players are like this as well. Just
I
very
think most
critical.
competitors,
Yes. Yes, competitors, exactly. Are so hypercritical of themselves. And I'm most definitely one of those people. Of course, it has a lot to do with how I was raised as well. I had very high standards imposed on me. And, not for bad reason, of course. You need high standards in order to be a high-achieving individual, right? But, in general, I was such a critical person. And I'm still a relatively critical person of myself only, not of other people. But I've been learning how to actually embrace loving myself a little more. So that was a super roundabout way to describe what I wanted to talk about today.
All right. So
Do you practice any self-love?
no. I'm my worst enemy. Me, myself, and we get in a fight every single day, and it never gets boring, at least. But yeah, we're all just fighting each other over who gets to take the reins and who makes the decision maker. There's the guy who wants to have fun, there's the guy who wants to lounge about, and then there's that weakling over there who wants to be productive. And
The weakling.
the weakling is the one who wants to get stuff done, and they all just wrestle for it, and it's a nightmare, Pete. But hey, I'm still standing, I'm still breathing, so
Miraculously, I feel like the weakling wins out over the other two way more often. At least that's what you're portraying to me.
then I'm a good actor.
Fair enough.
Do I love myself? I don't really know what that means, Pete.
Really?
Yeah.
If
How would
going
you
back
do-
to the example I gave before, if you were to mess up something, I don't know, if you were cutting vegetables to eat for dinner and then you accidentally cut yourself, would you curse at yourself, swear at yourself, be like, what the hell, you freaking idiot, you moron, stupid, whatever?
If I cut myself,
If you did something stupid, if you messed up,
I'm so used to it right now. It's just like, well, there goes another moment. There's another Alex moment.
You see, but that's derived from the same thing, right?
Yeah, like whenever this is a half joke. This is like an inside joke, but I don't know if I've ever done it with you. But like, I'll watch a tennis match, right? And someone will make like a horrible like mistake, and they'll miss the shot by like 10 feet, and I'll be like, "Yep, that's Alex tennis right there.
Oh my God.
That is perfect Alex tennis. He's doing it right." And it's jokes like that because it's like Yeah, I screw up. I think in the past when I was a teenager, I think I'm always going to be critical of myself. But in the past, if I ever made even the slightest mistake, I'm constantly talking down to myself and saying, "Alex, come on, man. You need to do better than this. You can do better than this. I believe in you." And then there's like that evil demon who's saying, "No, Alex, you suck cuz you mess everything up." And it's just like, "Okay, well, I'm going to prove that guy wrong." And usually I do, not in the glorious fashion I always dreamed I could, but I usually come out on top in the end. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I mess up, and I mess up even when I try again, and it sucks. And but do I talk down to myself? I think the stages are usually accepting that what happened has happened, and I'm just like, well, this sucks. And then after that, it's like, well, now what? And that's I think a legitimate question. Now what?
Hmm.
Like in this hypothetical, I cut myself with a knife because I can't cut vegetables for some reason, Pete. But let's say I cut myself. I look at it. I'm like, I'm assuming I didn't cut my whole finger off, because if I did that, I'd be like thinking a lot of more other things besides, Alex, you're stupid. But if I cut myself, I'd be like, well, ow, that hurt. And then I just like get it washed, get a band aid, and keep cutting. Because it's like, what else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like get a like flogging whip and just start like repenting for what I did? I could, but why bother? Move on.
Yeah. A lot of people, if they were in that situation, they would be, you know, cursing at themselves. They'd be like, what the hell? You fucking moron. You know? So stuff like that. So for me personally, I used to be really bad with that. I think that there's a lot of aspects to self-love that we can cover, but one of the really important ones is forgiving yourself. When you mess up, when you do something that's suboptimal to your standards or to anyone else's standards that you're trying to do something for them, forgive yourself. Be able to tell yourself it's okay. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Just don't worry. I really didn't know how to forgive myself for a lot of stuff in general until lately. Even I mean everyone has done bad things that they're not proud of. I'm certainly no different.
No
And
one has lived a
yeah,
perfect
yeah,
life.
exactly. So just being able to look at those bad things that I've done in the past and say, okay, let's move on. You know, I'm not perfect,
You
but
shouldn't
I learned
forget.
from them.
You shouldn't forget your mistakes either, though.
Yeah, well, that's of course that's a given. I definitely try not to forget them. So I learn from them. I'd rather learn from an experience, a bad experience, albeit, but an experience nonetheless. I want to learn as much as I can to make sure I don't mess up in the same way again, and also make myself a better person because of it. So
It's a
yeah,
noble
step one.
goal.
Step one, if you mess up, forgive yourself. You know? Tell yourself it's okay. One thing I started doing a lot, instead of calling myself a bad word, for instance, if I did something like if I dropped something on the floor or whatever, I'd just say my name instead of you you stupid. You know?
That's funny because I did something similar. Not like within the last year or two, I started doing something similar. So in the past, when I used to play tennis with my friends and I make a bad mistake, I'm like, ah, that's such a bad shot. And now instead, I'm like, I make a mistake and I miss by like a million feet, and I'm like, yes, perfect shot, great shot, And it's obviously sarcastic and wry. It's not supposed to be like I mean it. Like if I miss the shot by a million feet, I'm not genuinely happy with it, but it's like it's that like subtle thing where it's like you're no longer using the bad negative words. You're just like, great shot, that's such a good shot. It's like, yes, yes, come on, and just stupid stuff like that. But like it's funny because you mentioned like you don't use the bad words. It's like, so do I stop using the bad words. That doesn't mean I'm not criticizing myself. It doesn't mean I'm not dying on the inside every time I miss a forehand, but
But that's a little superficial. Like if you're being sarcastic with the way that you do it, then I feel like it's almost just as bad as saying bad words.
I mean, yeah, but
Because you don't actually mean it when you're saying yes. You're sarcastically saying yes because you know that you messed up.
Yeah, but it's in a joking manner. It's not in a like I said in the past I used to be super critical. So when I got angry, I was legitimately angry. Whereas now if I mess up, it's like, great. Oh, shoot. It's just it's very mild in comparison because like who cares,
But does your subconscious mind really know that you're joking?
Yeah. For tennis nowadays, yeah. I don't get angry for missing. I move my legs more, I bend my knees more, I try harder, I don't get mad. Before I got mad. Like my eyes would like widen and I would just be like angrily like growling to myself. It's like, oh god, come on. Whereas now it's like, well, next one. Come on, come on.
Let me rephrase. Your conscious mind is aware that you are joking, but your
Yes.
subconscious mind is always watching, just taking information in and building a schema of what you're seeing in life. So I don't think you can necessarily. I asked you the question because I say this. I don't think you can necessarily know if your subconscious mind actually understands that you mean it as a joke.
You can say that, but I know I'm not angry. Or if I am, I'm sure as heck not as angry as I was 10 years ago.
Right, but I'm not trying to hit on the anger part. I'm trying to hit on the, you're not doing this for the right reason part, and your subconscious is almost like a filter through that. Like it sees through your bullshit.
Uh, how else do you improve unless you acknowledge you messed up?
Of course, you got to acknowledge first of all. I
I'm not
would
holding it
say,
against me, like I'm not keeping a log of every single time I missed the forehand, you know what I'm saying? Like I've messed up. I probably messed up today. I'm not like writing this stuff down. It's like, Alex, you stupid idiot. You messed up 5 times today. You messed up 10 times yesterday. You messed up 1,000 times this week. I'm not doing that.
I know. I mean, obviously, you're not going to keep track of every single time you mess up. I think that's way more negative than anyone could ever imagine.
I could do it. Don't challenge me, Pete,
I challenge you right now,
to
actually.
keep track of every
Yeah.
mistake. Then I just never make a mistake again. Problem solved. Boom. Boom.
That is definitely not stay positive. No, what I was going to say is I feel like you can totally find a way to be nicer to yourself. In general, if you're like I said, if you're doing something sarcastically, it means you don't actually mean it. So if you're saying nice words to yourself but don't actually mean them, then first of all, the fact that they have no meaning alone is an indication of a sort of bad thing, right? But also, if knowing yourself, like let's assume subconscious and conscious are totally differentiated right now. Your conscious mind knows you're joking and knows there's a distinction. Your subconscious mind may not, but also remember it's always watching. So you don't necessarily know if this thing is sticking as a part of you still.
But when we go back to you stop calling yourself an idiot, and now instead you say you just refer to your name.
Yeah, I just say like if I dropped a bowl on the floor, which actually this happened to me.
Why
Uh,
would you drop a bowl on the floor,
it
Pete?
was a ceramic bowl. I dropped it.
They're
It
not.
slipped out of my hand.
Uh,
I'm not trying to say I'm perfect, by the way, because that's
when
definitely
did we
how this kind of
ever?
sounds.
When did we ever say we were perfect, Pete?
No, I know that's just how it comes off. But I definitely want to stress the point that, I accept if I screw up. Of course, accountability is important when you're forgiving yourself.
I
You
think
have to
that's
accept it.
extremely important.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I feel like some people might ask for forgiveness without acknowledging they need to forgive themselves first, which I think is
so true,
messed up.
so true. Especially if you've hurt someone else.
That's the worst. Because personally, I have a really guilty conscience. So if I even slightly inconvenience someone through my actions, I'm just like, oh my god,
Oh yeah, I
what
know
have I,
you.
what have I done?
Well, I mean, it's just the fact that if you were 5 minutes late to something, you'd be like, "I'm so terribly sorry," and I'm just gonna say, "Dude,
I'm usually 5 minutes late anyway, so people just get used to it.
okay, 6 minutes late."
But then that's crossing the line.
That's what I'm saying. That's you, but we love you for it. I think the other part that I wanted to touch on was, aside from forgiving oneself, being accountable for those things, also practicing the good side, which now, for instance, if I did mess up, I'm not going to say a bad word, right? But if I did something good, for instance, just reward myself. Say like, "Oh, dude, good job. you did good here. Or just try to take pride in the smaller things you do on a daily basis. So this is all credit to Grace, who introduced me to this. Like I said, I started practicing this a lot more lately, but uh, this 5 minute journal every single day, where in the morning you write three things that you're grateful for, three things that would make today great, and some daily affirmations. At night, before you go to sleep, but this is right after you wake up, by the way. So it's just like the first thing you should do in the morning. At night, before you go to sleep, three things that made today great and what could have made today better. And dude, it's been a world of a difference for me.
How long since you started doing that?
About 3 weeks, you know? So this is something new in my life, but the habit is stuck. I literally never miss this. And I'm the type of person that if I don't really solidify a habit, it breaks very easy for me. You know, so if I try to set a habit at all, I need to make sure I'm staying on top of it.
So you started this habit, doing it every day for the last 3 weeks, and you had to keep the habit to keep it going. What's the difference? What do you feel changed, or what made got better?
Well, I got to backpedal a little bit as well. So the reason I started it in the first place was because over the last 18 months or so, I think me as a person is very different after 18 months than before. I became a lot more selfish in a lot of ways, and I'm not afraid to expose myself about that, you know?
I
I
feel
think,
like we're all selfish to a
yeah,
certain extent.
yeah. You know, I became selfish in a lot of ways that, you know, you have to be selfish. You have to be,
Look out for yourself.
yeah, you have to be watching your own back. But I also became selfish in ways that I didn't like, you know, when it came to, yeah,
Relationships.
relationships with people that were close to me or things of that nature. And so I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't like who I was becoming. And so, you know, it just so happened that I had a very eye-opening conversation with a few people and with one person that sparked it. And then as a result, I was starting to bring back all those feelings of empathy that I would always try to instill within myself, like to empathize with other people, for instance, and understanding people's plights more. Because I was always relatively good at it, but I stopped doing it because I was so self-absorbed and, you know, just not seeing outside of my own bubble, you know, because I had a lot of stuff going on constantly, you know, between school, tennis, and all the other projects I'm working on. It's always hard. And like I said, I didn't like
Who
who
you were
I
becoming.
was. And I said, you know what? Let me go back down to the deep, dark roots, right? So I went down into my childhood and, you know, things that made me who I am today and realized why some things are the way they are. And I said, all right, now that you've acknowledged, how can we improve this? How can we get better? How can we grow from this? And for me, a lot of the way to deal with that, to solve it or to start growing, is self love, you know? So I've just been practicing some smaller things right now, and, you know, hopefully I can get to a better place, of course. And I urge anyone that listens, of course, to try to do the same thing, be able to introspect and look at yourself with a very reflective mindset so that if you see yourself becoming the person that you don't want to be, make sure that you're actually, you know, taking steps. I hope you're taking steps to be better, you know, for yourself, for everyone else as well, because you don't want to be a person that you don't like seeing in the mirror, right? And that was my problem. I put on, to an extent, like a facade for other people, and I hated that. I hated having to show people a facade. And to an extent, a lot of it was still true, but there were some underlying things that were not foundationally good, and I wanted to change those foundational things. So, enter self-love. And one of the first things I started doing, aside from the small nuance, not calling myself bad words or whatever, it was the journal. And as a result, I've just been happier. You know, just in general, I like seeing the person that I am, you know, being grateful for everything that I do or everything that comes my way. You know, when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think about is what you're grateful for, it puts a lot of other shit in life into perspective. You know, for me personally, I think that the fact that we're able to even create a platform for ourselves to spread the positivity and the free thought is incredible opportunity, right? So like stuff that I tend to write is I'm grateful for the opportunities I have, you know, whether it is through what we do together as a duo or, you know, all the other stuff that I'm working on. I'm grateful for having food on a table, having a roof over my head.
Your health, your happiness, your friends.
Health too. I know Grace talked about health, but dude, health is so important to be grateful for. It is definitely something that a lot of people,
Take for granted.
yeah, that is damn fact. So, you know, I started just really not microanalyzing, but breaking down all the aspects of my life that I think I could be a little bit more mindful of. And lo and behold, I feel like I've definitely been transforming myself into someone that I think is one more self-reliant in a good way, of course, and growing in ways that I believe are actually beneficial for me and hopefully will be to others because I am notoriously unselfish when it comes to how I treat other people. So,
Okay.
what are your thoughts? Aside
I,
from my whole rant on being great,
it's not.
helping myself being great or something.
None of us are great. We're okay getting better
Yeah,
every day.
exactly.
What if you're like I like to think you and I were pretty okay people. What if you're a little less than okay, you know? And how like you can't just flip a switch, you know, or you could, but that's really implausible and not very it's very hard to do and even harder to sustain. So like if you have that moment of a revelation that who you are as a person is not who you want to be, what would you recommend how to start?
Well, what I did was look at who I was, right? And just first of all, you have to do that introspection. You know, make sure that you can identify when you start by seeing what are the things that made you who that person is. So this is very much it could be a reiteration of episode 2, you know, paving the road to happiness. But it's a lot of the same stuff because finding your inner joy is, you know, it would be the destination that self-love can take you to. So I feel they're almost the same book. The writing is on the wall and it looks exactly the same in my mind. You know, you look at your childhood, look at what made you who the person you are today, and identify those things that you feel can be made better. And I because of all the stuff I've been doing, I'd failed to do that very important reflection that I claim is, you know, so helpful. And ultimately I found that and I was able to take some first steps. You know, it may look different for everyone, of course. You know, it can also be something as simple as treating your body well. You know, not putting junk food into your body. There's another thing. I've been dieting because I want to do some Ironmans eventually, but first I have to do a marathon. And first, before I do that, I need to get myself into good shape. You know, I think I gained maybe 15 pounds this semester.
Of muscle?
No.
Mm.
I don't think it was. Some of it was muscle, but I think the rest was a little fatty tissue. And, you know, I didn't like that. I had a really stressful semester, which is
I mean,
interesting. It's
I'm
so,
pretty sure everyone had a stressful semester.
you know what's so interesting? It's full circle. First semester in college, I gained weight. Or first year, for the most part, but first semester specifically, I definitely gained weight. You know, the rest of the way, I kind of did what I did, as you remember. And then last semester in college, this most stressful one ever, I gained weight like nobody's business. But I was still performing well on the court, which was really interesting because I wouldn't have expected to, given that. But I did.
Because
I was
all your
happy about that.
experience made you a master.
No, I'm definitely not a master, but I think it was experience. It was definitely the experience that I had over, especially a lot of kids that I played were technically underclassmen for the most part. I
So
think I
they would
played
look
one
up
or
to
two
you
seniors.
anyway.
No, not necessarily. I mean, kids on other teams. I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I think I played more underclassmen this year in general, but I don't myself look like I just graduated college, unless unless I keep the beard, right? No, a lot of people look at me and they're like, "You're pretty young." But then also some people, especially those younger than me, they look at me and they say, "What are you, 27?" And I just don't buy it. I don't think I look like I'm 27.
You
But
don't look 27. If you are 27, you definitely look pretty happy as a 27-year-old.
hey, that is the goal, to be as happy as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people also ask me, what's your goal in life? What do you want to do with everything?
I
Do you
don't
have a
know.
specific do you have a specific thing you're reaching for? And I answer it the same all the time.
Don't die.
No. Well, I say I want to be happy. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I want to feel like I'm making a difference for someone, or I'm part of something important, and I am making not only myself happy, but adding value to other people's lives in some way, shape, or form. I don't. It doesn't matter what that looks like in a professional setting, in an emotional setting. Just as long as I'm happy, I
Okay.
realized. Um, yeah, pursuing all of that stuff is part of is one aspect of self love in general. And so just taking care of yourself, not letting yourself be the brunt of all the stress and the hard work that you put in. Probably, if you do, making sure that you're doing the stuff that is okay for you, and not suffering because of it. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to acknowledge when you're causing your own suffering, because that's kind of like you don't want to address that like demon in your head. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, totally.
I had a second question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you said something. You've been doing the journal thing for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How would you and we're not experts, or at least I'm not. How would you
Neither am I.
go about keeping a routine?
Mm.
Because I can do all that stuff today. Maybe not tomorrow, though. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it's hard, and I've read so many different strategies and so many different ways to like constantly keep the momentum and keep progress and da 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 da. And I know it's wrong, but in your head sometimes you're like, I'll skip today. What's the worst that can happen?" And then you skip the next day and the next day and the next day, but not the other day. But then a week you skip, and then another time, and then 2 weeks, and it's like you incrementally improve in the opposite direction, where you're getting lazier and lazier until you're just like, well, I don't even do it that much anymore, so what's the point?
Okay, so to answer your question, I think 21 days is the Goldilocks number. You know, if you're doing something consistently for 21 days, that is probably how long it has taken you to create that habit. Um, that's one way of recognizing. Start off small, also.
Yeah,
You know, you can't just do something cold turkey and expect yourself to be rocking that straight for 6 months
it's
with no
hard.
end, right? For me, it was okay. I'm building up to run these marathons or these Ironmans.
You're not running an Ironman to train for the Ironman.
Exactly. I'm literally gonna just start with something as small as fixing my diet again. So
Hmm.
for me, that looks like stopping the consumption of bread, refined carbs, junk food. I was eating, actually, surprisingly enough, I was eating a shit ton of junk food this past semester.
But you were cooking it, I assume.
Yeah, I was cooking a lot, but I wasn't cooking smart. I'm cooking smarter now, even though I'm living at home. But my parents are okay with having me cook because it takes it's less work on their plate.
Yeah.
So being able to look at my diet and say, oh, you know what? I can cut all this out. And I have. And it's good. So just start with like one or two things that you think you can change, make those habits stick, then move on to the next. Don't do everything all at once. I'm the type of guy that I can do it cold turkey, but like I said, if I don't create a habit, it's gone. You know?
It's honestly insane. Because when I quit soda last year, it's so weird because, like, you just instinctually want to, like, grab it.
Right?
You're not even thinking about it. And the same thing with my phone, although I still haven't curbed that habit yet. But
Mm-hmm.
like, for anyone who's listening, have you ever just woken up and just immediately grab your phone? Like that's the first thing you do. You don't do anything else, but you check your phone, check your messages, check your. Well, I don't use social media, but check your YouTube. Oh, that's a cool video that released yesterday. I'll watch that in the morning. It's like that's the first thing you do, and you're not even thinking. You're not even like thinking, oh yeah, I'll do this. No, you're just doing it. And the same thing with soda. It's like I would just drink the soda because it tastes good, and oh, there's nothing else to drink, even though there was like water. I'm like, I don't drink water. The water's for idiots. So, but now that's exclusively all I drink is water.
So you only drink water now,
Water and seltzer.
dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it last week, but I had no idea that you're on the water grind too. Because I don't drink anything but water.
No, water's good for you, I read. It's also 70% of your body, so
Weird how it works.
presume we need it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some science textbooks recommend.
A little bit, yeah. I feel better, I'd say, is safe to say. Because before.
Health-wise.
Yeah. At least from that water part. And my weight speaks for itself. I lost like 20 pounds, so
Dude,
that helps.
that's awesome.
Boosting it's like, oh, it's working.
There you go. That's one form of self-love right there. That you created this habit because you realized that you had a self-destructive habit. That was drinking soda.
No, but like the thing is, you're right. That first 3 weeks or however long it took me is like, you really have to like consciously be like, no,
They're so brutal.
I'm not gonna do this. I'm going to drink something else, anything else. And I did. Okay, I technically this is like half true. So I love sweets, and there's a certain snack I love to eat. It's like certain brand of chocolate chip cookies that I love to eat.
Is it Chips Ahoy?
No, it's not Chips Ahoy. This podcast sponsored by Chips Ahoy. Um, but whatever, I have this chocolate chip cookies, and I used to eat like a box a week for
Wow.
but for the last 3 months or 2 months, I haven't eaten those. But like I said, I half cheated on this because instead of those, I eat like wafer cookies with chocolate flavor or vanilla or whatever. And it's not as much, I'm not eating a box, I'm eating like 1 or 2 cookies a day or every other day, which is better, I like to think. But, once again, same thing. It's like before I'm reaching for that box and I'm like, I'm going to eat these cookies. And I had to be like, no, you can do this. You can eat something else, eat anything else. So I was like eating like crackers or one tip I learned that helps me is like if you're hungry and you're like gonna go eat some bad food or what would you call it? Junk food.
Are you serious?
No. There's another word for it. It starts with a C. Comfort food. Comfort food. Yeah. If you're going to eat that, one tip I learned one thing I learned is just drink like water drink like 3 bottles of water or 4 bottles of water. So that way you don't feel like eating it anymore. Even if you have like the craving, your stomach is full and your mind will tell you, no, you're not.
So are you classically conditioning yourself to not want, or to just want water whenever you have a craving for junk food?
No, Pete, that's not the case.
Aggressive.
I'm just saying, something's got to give. I could just do nothing, and I have done nothing in the past. Like 3 years ago, I used to just not eat anything, just be like, I'm done, and I did it. I want the world to know that I had the mental capacity to avoid eating junk food of all kinds, both fried food, sweets, all of that stuff, and soda. It didn't last long. But mainly because I was like starving myself, which is not healthy at all. Like,
It's horrible.
It's really not good. Don't starve yourself. But let it be on the record that I had the willpower to do so. I want the world to know this. So yeah, don't starve yourself. But everything is good in moderation, I think. And that's the thing, right? You lower your moderation.
Yes,
so like
exactly.
So like, yeah, it's true. I eat a box of cookies every day, but then I started eating like a smaller box or like 3 cookies a day. Instead of drinking soda, I would drink seltzer to imitate the texture. And slowly I was like, I didn't crave soda anymore, and I just started drinking water.
Yeah.
And now I drink a lot of the times water.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the same. This is a different side of the same coin. You know, if you're gonna try to make some great habits in your life, start with one or two, and
Mm.
hammer those out. If you're gonna try to kick some habits, same thing. Start slowly and don't do it cold turkey. You know, it's hard. It's really hard to do it like that. Just slowly mature yourself away from that thing. Whether it is for you eating cookies, for me it was just junk food in general. So I was just really slowly but surely ironing out and getting away from all that stuff. And, you know, if I found myself in a place now that I can actually sustain it, you know, and there's just a larger goal for me as well. You know, you want to be able to visualize. If you're doing it for a reason, make sure that that reason is tangible, or not tangible, but actionable, something that you believe in and you can actually work towards it. So, like I said, I'm working towards those races. I'm going to be continuing doing this for a while. And then after those races are done, I'll see what the next challenge is going to be, right? It's hard to do something without a purpose because then you're just aimlessly doing it. There's this idea of finite and infinite games. And when you're doing stuff to better yourself, yeah, that's great, but it's hard. And a lot of people can't do that. You know,
So then
you
aim
have to
for
be a
something
different breed.
smaller.
Exactly. Aim for something is I think the key word there. You know, you strive to do this for a reason almost. You know, I mean, in general, if you try to do something very impulsively or just abruptly, it makes no sense how you can sustain it, right? It's very hard.
It's
You
so
you
frustrating.
wouldn't feed a person that starved themselves for 2 weeks immediately with a lot of food. Yeah, they're starving. But what happens if you give them
They
a
throw it up.
table? No, dude, they die.
Oh, that too.
I was listening to the Lex Friedman Charles Hoskinson episode, and Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano, he was talking about he went on like a 2 week fast one time. His brother's a physician, so
Amateur.
Alex is like, I did that in my sleep. But anyways, he went on a 2 week fast one day because he was like, let me push my limits to see, because he does fasting in general, and he, you know, hits up his brother who's a physician and is like, hey, I haven't eaten in 2 weeks. How do I start eating again? I thought it was funny, but yeah, dude, you can't feed yourself right away off the spot. You're gonna die. I mean, we talked about it also. People that worked in internment camps, either in World War II or, you know, just prisoners of war, they were starved. A lot of people, as soon as they got back to normal life, they died because they weren't being fed, you know, and just getting back to the same lifestyle it's a world shattering experience. So, okay, yeah, the big things are, you know, make good habits for yourself, forgive yourself, and slowly but surely you'll find some really good progress with yourself. I think in general, doing stuff that you care about as well. You know, that's one way to practice self-love. I know that Amir said this. I know you already know this because you met Amir and all the guys a couple episodes ago, but you know, he went on walks all the time. And I started going on walks and I didn't really understand it. That was actually something that I definitely gained from him. But just going on a walk, and not an aimless walk where you don't know where you're gonna end up, but you know, you go out, enjoy nature, enjoy a breeze if it's nice outside, you know, do some thinking if you have to.
Lie on the riverbank.
I You don't have to think. If anything, maybe don't think. Whatever. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy your time on this planet. Find a way to do it because it's limited, you know? It's got value because it's limited. You need to find ways to expound that value as much as possible.
I mean, your life is the only one you got. Might as well make it an enjoyable one.
Right. Exactly. Do you see yourself becoming a practitioner of self-love anytime soon? Do you see yourself ever not being mean to yourself? It's hard.
You know, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's a solid maybe. Because it's hard. It's hard.
It is very hard.
And
It's hard.
there's that, like, famous expression, it's you are your worst enemy.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's so true. For me, especially. For you, especially.
But he's really elusive. I can't catch him.
You will one day.
I hope so. But,
And
I've gotten better. That's the thing, right? I'm much different than I was 10 years ago.
hmm
So I don't know if I will ever achieve the nirvana you've achieved in the last 3 weeks. But I think I'm slowly getting towards that as I get older, more mature, more knowledgeable of who I am and why, more importantly, why I am the way that I am.
uh-huh.
And just picking up on small things and altering them so that I am better. It's frustrating though, because it's so simple. It really is so simple, and yet it's so hard at the same time.
Nothing worth having in this life comes easy.
It's true. And yet, all that stuff, all those health nuts, all those things about, monitoring your time, all those things about addiction, it's like, it's all, a lot of it's all true. You don't see it in yourself,
Of course not. It's just hard because, like I said, people don't know how to visualize it as it pertains to their
or they don't want to.
yeah, their plight.
But, if me and you can do it, if us two idiots can do it, I see no reason why.
There's an example right there. You didn't have to say that. You see?
You see, I'm not there yet.
You see, I didn't take offense to it because I know you didn't mean it in a bad way. It's just more of a joke. But even sometimes as a joke, right?
It's true. All right.
Take a stab again.
Okay. If a couple of guys, me and you, Pete, and Alex, if we can do it, I think anyone can do it.
Yeah. All you got to do is stay positive.
See you guys.